It's all about people, Madison. It truly is. And the team there was about 600 people when I left, and it's a lot of people to get on the same page. So you mentioned leadership style. It's evolving, it's flexible, it's context-based mainly, but something that I think I bring to the table there and here, of course, is getting people to find a North Star. Where are we pointing?
Yeah.
Where are we going to? That's the big vision, talking in the future tense.
Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited you're here for today's episode of McKinney Momentum. You are in for a treat. We have Mr. Michael Kowski joining us today, and you will get an inside peek at his leadership philosophy, some of the books that he is reading and recommends, and you'll get to hear a little bit about Shakespeare. Who would be thinking you'd hear about Shakespeare here in McKinney, Texas? But here we are. Stay tuned, and I'm excited you're joining us. Well, welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so happy to be sitting here in the podcast studio here with you today.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful space.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Our marketing manager, Luke, has done a fantastic job with this, so
I agree.
we're grateful for his work, huh? So want to take a moment to introduce you as our new president and CEO to our lovely podcast listening audience. For those joining us today, we are pleased to bring in Michael Kowski, President and CEO of the McKinney Economic Development Corporation. And he is no stranger to the City of McKinney, has made a nice imprint here on our community already, and already making great strides in his short tenure here at the EDC. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to your seat today?
Thanks, Madison. And you're right. I've been blessed to be in McKinney now for almost 7 years.
Wow.
It's been fantastic. I served as the Director of Parks and Recreation for the past 6 years. What a great journey working with that fantastic team. A great city, great opportunities, and Parks and Recreation, of course, is really the first impression people get of McKinney. So again, I was blessed to be a part of that whole experience. I got here kind of in a different direction, though. Basically, my passion is city planning, building cities. And a couple years ago, actually 7 years ago, some leadership here in McKinney knew about me back up in the Midwest in Chicagoland and said, Mike, we think you really have something that we need down here to kind of move some stuff forward. And I was just blessed again. I use that word again over and over, but I'm really happy to have the opportunity to come down here and earn a position to lead that group.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've said something I've heard that I really love and I think resonates with a lot of people, but you've said that parks are the reason people come to McKinney and the first thing they notice. I think the work that you guys did, and of course, I've been with the city for 8 years, so I've gotten to witness a little bit from afar the work that your lovely parks team has done. But talk to us a little bit maybe about some of your leadership philosophy with the Parks Department. Maybe just cover a few highlights of some of the great work that the team did while you were in the Parks Department.
Yeah, great question. First of all, I'm most proud of the team that works there. To see teammates go from, young professionals to leading business units in the department has been fantastic. And seeing groups of folks kind of progress through stuff. It's all about people, Madison. It truly is. And the team there was about 600 people when I left. And it's a lot of people to get on the same page. So you mentioned leadership style. It's evolving, it's flexible, it's context-based mainly. But something that I think I bring to the table there and here, of course, is getting people to find a North Star. Where are we pointing?
Yeah.
Where are we going to? That's the big vision, talking in the future tense. But beyond that, it's really about managing the team's energy. Where are we putting our energy? Now, a long time ago, it was about time management. I don't talk about time management that much in my new role, or recently as a no longer young professional, now a full-on professional. It's more about energy management. Where are we putting our focus every day, every month, every year to get to that North Star, to keep us on pace? So that's been something that I've honed in on over the past couple of years. And I think you've said it, the proof is out there. What the team does day in, day out is not by accident. What you see in McKinney, the green space and the lovely parks and the sports fields, that's intentional. We try to make it look easy, but it's very, very hard. So, that's probably the proudest thing I can speak about, the team coming together, unified mission, and getting stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's neat. I think it was shortly after you started here in the EDC role, I came to work Monday and realized I went to 3 parks over the weekend with my family, and they were in different capacities. I think one might have been a soccer game, and one was a true playground, like a park as in a playground. And I thought, man, they really are such a huge part of our lives here in McKinney, and really across communities in general. Right? It's a huge component to a successful community is the green space and ability to play.
Yeah, I couldn't say any better. People, not that we take for granted the parks here, but we assume that they're always here, always this quality and this level of detail and variety. No, it wasn't the case. There's parks, there's trails, there's sports complexes, and our mission as a city is to keep that going.
Right.
Because now putting on my economic development hat, if you're relocating to the area, sure, the business climate is very, very important. But part and parcel to that is the quality of life.
Absolutely.
For you, your family, your employees, and so on. And every single department in McKinney plays into that. I think Parks and Recreation is just a bit more visible in that equation. And we embrace that, and we still do.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your economic development role here, I think, I've gotten the privilege to hear some of your origin story, if you will, and some of your educational background and training. But for our new audience here, talk to us a little bit about what some of your educational training has been and what led you to the economic development world.
Yeah. So I was the kid who played with Legos every day, all day. And so building stuff with my hands has been so important to me. I didn't know that could be a career other than being an architect, to be honest with you. That was my North Star, if you will. But I realized during my training of learning about art history, architectural history, and architecture in particular, that I wanted more. I wanted to blend more of my ingrown interest and my personality with something bigger than just designing for a client or one piece of land. So city planning came on my radar during really undergrad and graduate school. How we adjust the environment to be better. That's all those things really resonate with me. And so I went in that direction about mid-2000s, 2005, 2006. And then my first job was as a city planner for a suburb in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. It was a great job because I knew nothing, and I had a great mentor.
That's great.
So I'm a product of great mentoring.
That's
Somebody
awesome.
who sat down with me and said, Mike, we're going to go page by page of all these documents, and you're going to learn what it means to be a professional. And it was so great to learn how to learn. It's a lost art to learn how to learn. So going through that, I progressed up the ladder, earned more responsibilities to include overseeing development services, code enforcement, building inspections, everything in the development services realm, to include at this suburb economic development. So I was plugged into negotiating public-private partnerships, big and small, things that are still legacy projects in a good way. So that's really how I kind of cut my teeth. Then I received a phone call that McKinney was hiring for a Parks and Recreation professional to come here. And at first, I didn't know how I plugged into that, to be honest with you. But looking into it and putting together my resume package, I realized that I check a lot more boxes than I thought. And one muscle I didn't work on very much in development services world was overseeing a large staff of hundreds and hundreds of people. So right there, that got me excited. Can I do it?
Right.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
In particular, in Parks and Recreation, where staff is changing over quite frequently. Think about lifeguards. Every summer, different lifeguards coming and going. And not in a good or bad way, just a rhythm of
just
the
nature of the,
That's it, exactly. So that attracted me quite a bit. And then just building stuff, to work with a fantastic parks development team where we can throw out some doodles on a napkin, goes into a a Photoshop rendering, and then architects kind of put it together to get built.
Yeah.
To go from an idea to construction, and then to your point, to walk in that world
Yes.
relatively quickly.
Like
Where else-
physically walk
physically
in the
walk,
world.
That's it.
Yeah.
And know that that was my idea, or that was an idea from a resident
Yes.
that we took. The resident probably thought we weren't going to follow through with it, but we took that seed of an idea and planted it and grew into something. And forever and forever, my fingerprints, your fingerprints, and residents, it's all over the patchwork of our park system. Where else can you have that type of experience? It's very few. So that really drew me to stay in Parks and Recreation as long as I could. And then this position at the MEDC became available. And, the question came to me, Mike, how do you feel about having a different influence on McKinney? And again, I kind of scratched my head and said, well, I've been kind of in this groove for a while. But upon considering it, it just was a perfect opportunity at the perfect time that blended my new ability to understand how to build teams, combined with my understanding of McKinney. And I'm just, again, so happy to have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're glad that your path has taken us to our path here at the EDC. And of course, we've had some overlap in the years as partners in the Parks Department and the EDC. But I'm excited to work with your leadership here at the EDC and just admiring you from afar in the parks role and all the work that you got to do there, and that your team, really the work that you empowered your team to do, I think is most admirable. Because obviously one human cannot do all the things that the Parks Department has done. So
no, that's a great point. And we had the pleasure of knowing each other for many years before I came on board, because our core missions overlap, if not support each other constantly. And, to the extent where I recall coming in here and giving a presentation to some of the colleagues here about what we do in Parks and Recreation, and I think the takeaway was, wow, we had no idea it was that broad of a mission and vision and what we do day to day. And just so happy to, again, be in a different role with the city to hopefully be a steward of this organization and take it further.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a common theme that I've heard in your story so far is other people have recognized greatness in you and the ability in you and have kind of called you higher to those levels, right? So sometimes, if there's a leadership nugget here for us all, sometimes we discredit ourselves, right? But other people who have had the privilege of seeing us in our best and worst moments, possibly, right, can see the areas where we can continue to thrive and move forward, excel. So I think it's really neat that those individuals have called you to those positions and said, hey, would you consider this? That's a huge honor. So congrats.
Well, thank you. It is. And something about me, I am not defined by my job.
Yeah.
That's not, I'm way more complex than that. You're way more complex than this job. And I think once you realize that, the world kind of opens up to you. And for the young professionals listening, there is something to be said about, again, learning how to learn, putting your head down, putting the work in, and doing what you do. Because someone will tap you on the shoulder one day, and you want to be prepared to have a conversation about, are you ready to take on the next level? Quite often, if you're reaching too high, you come down too fast. So the analogy I use quite often is, I don't want to be a kite flying up in the air, because kites come down fast. I want to be a mountain.
That's
built
good.
Layer by layer, slowly but slowly. And that's really been my approach to everything I do.
That's great. Love that. So talked about kind of background as far as educational background, Parks Department and development wise. So let's talk about the future. One thing I've heard you say quite a bit is we don't talk about the past here, we talk about the future, right? So let's talk about the future of McKinney, the future of MEDC. What are some of your goals, objectives? What's next?
Yeah, great. Yeah, fantastic. I'll tweak your statement about don't talk about the past.
Yes, you say it much more eloquently than I do. So please rephrase it.
So I think I completely respect the history and past, everything in McKinney. Everything that's happened at this organization.
Yes.
I respect, like you won't believe how great it is to me to build upon. However, as a leader, your job is to talk in the future tense.
There we go. That's what I was trying to say.
Right? Because that's what I am, that's my responsibility, right? To think about tomorrow and 5 years out and 10 years out. Because if I'm not, nobody else is. And that's the reality of being in a leadership role. With MEDC, I've been in the position now for 3 months. I love it. It is fantastic. It's the right decision for my family and I. Couldn't be happier. Great team here. Again, just honored to be a part of this, the energy that's happening here. What happens next? We have to reset. That's what happens when we have a new set of eyes come in. And reset not what we're doing, but really how we do it and where our energy is focused at. Instead of putting 100% energy towards this, I might dial it back to 80% of our energy towards something to free up 20% to do something else. The listeners and viewers at home don't realize we had a staff retreat last week to talk about this very concept. Where are we going tomorrow? What are we doing well? What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? And that's a dialogue we'll have constantly over and over again. So my first goal is to get some alignment with what we're doing at the EDC staff level, with the board, with city council, with our residents and business community and beyond. It's impossible, right? It's so hard to get pure alignment, but we have to be in the same lane. And that's what I'm trying to work on right now.
Yeah, majority alignment, right?
That's it.
So, yes, we're all moving the ship in one direction.
That's it.
Which is great. Yeah, I think the staff retreat was really telling of a lot, our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats. One of the exercises that we went through, and there's a great future and bright future ahead for all of us here. And most importantly, we're all here because of the residents and the businesses that are here and the businesses that we're looking to bring here, of course. So I think that, the fresh leadership and fresh reset will be inspiring and helpful for all those parties, at least,
You mentioned residents and businesses. It's important for us to touch on a very important fact. We have to amplify, if not scream from the mountains louder, what we do every day.
Right.
And our value add to our community and beyond. Being a new person in here, admittedly, I didn't know everything we did here, nor should I.
Yeah.
It is impressive. It's amazing. It's all McKinney focused. The passion here is off the charts. And one of my missions is to make sure that people know that and know how to plug into our energy to go forward.
That's great. So what has been one of the most surprising aha moments or something that you've learned in your 3 months here? What's been one of the most surprising things you've seen so far?
Most surprising has been just how connected each and every teammate is to the public, to the businesses, and this network of people that you folks know. It's very, very impressive. It's a very nimble, small team, and the amount of work we get done here is remarkable. And then finally, just the dedication of our board members. I was really amazed because I worked with volunteer boards in the past, and boards can be effective or less so. This board is very passionate to a person. I can't recall working for a board where each and every member was so engaged to the extent they are. And that means they want to make us better and the city better, the region better, to be fair.
Absolutely. When you look at the kind of the resumes, if you will, of our board members, I mean, they're very well qualified, well respected in their industries, and great voices for us to bounce ideas off of and lean on and continue providing our North Star and helping us find the way, right?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk some about your leadership philosophy. How would you sum up your leadership philosophy, and maybe what advice would you have for somebody listening that is looking to hone in on some leadership skills?
Yeah, I think, again, the words being flexible and nimble and how you approach situations, that's a sign of a true leader. There's, sometimes leaders develop a toolbox and then you're trying to find a nail to use it against, or sometimes it's not the right tool in your toolbox for the job to get done. For me, again, it's energy management of the team, where we're going. One thing I'm trying to, put a finer point on is something I heard recently that I want to incorporate into my philosophy, which is turning nouns into verbs. So think about our traditional use of the word Google. Google is by and large a noun, but we use it as a verb.
Yeah.
How can we turn MEDC into a verb?
I like it.
That's the energy behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that as a leadership style is always looking for opportunities to flip something and to make it our own.
Right. That's good. So do you have any teasing thoughts for us yet and how we can turn MEDC into a verb here.
Maybe at my 1 year recap.
Oh, not at your 3 month on this.
Yeah.
It can't be like podcast breaking.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
But at least identify something to go after, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what leaders need to do. They need to double check themselves constantly and look at stuff and how can they inspire people. One other bit of advice I would give to everybody is understand the room that you're in and how people take in information, how they prefer to speak, whether it be via writing, via talking like this or something in between. You have to learn that. Everybody's different, and we're a big old puzzle.
Yeah.
And every piece is important, but every piece is different.
Absolutely. Very true. So you have mentioned how you learned early in your career, you learned how to learn. And would you say you're a lifelong learner?
Yeah, if you were to define me, it'd be that, more so than this title I have.
Yeah.
I spend probably 20 to 30 hours a week learning stuff, reading books, studying odd topics that sharpen my blade all the time. I dedicate time. My morning routine is all about that, studying philosophy. It's about meditation. It's about really focusing on myself. So when I come to work, I'm the best version of myself that day. So I could be there for you and the whole team.
That's good. Do you have an odd topic to share with us that you're currently learning?
My wife and I take these journeys together quite often,
Okay.
and we've been on a Shakespeare kick recently.
Shakespeare.
So for the past year, we've been reading every Shakespeare play, assessing them, reading books about Shakespeare, and it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
It's such an important part of our education, but how often as an adult we go back and read the stuff. And
we read it in school, but not in our adult lives do we study.
It. I'm really trying to, again, go back in time, because when you're younger, you don't appreciate that stuff when you're in high school and even in undergrad, and to go back with a different worldview and re-engage those authors and that's really what it's all about. You re-engage the same authors at different points of your life, and you realize they haven't changed, you have, and you find new information, new tidbits.
Yeah, it speaks to you in a different way in a different season, right? Do you have is there any particular Shakespeare play or piece that's kind of resonating with you right now?
Right now, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that most of the plays are filled with just terrible, terrible events and activities and bad people, a shocking degree of that. I think that's right now really in top of mind about just shocking.
So the drama was still present back then as it is now in today's world, right?
It is. It's all, and the first sources of Shakespeare, the Roman and Greek plays and beyond, they're just as bad, if not worse. And, when you read, some of my favorite authors like Seneca and Epictetus and some of these other folks, they're trying to figure out what happiness is and what the good life is. These are questions we've been mulling on as humans for 2,000 years and beyond. And the same questions are today. So when you go to a bookstore today, the same books, same topics, or the same topics were tackled thousands of years ago.
Right. So interesting. So books. I know that you are a constant learner and you're an avid reader. What I'm trying to say, what are your top 3 favorite books? Could you narrow down to your top 3, you think? Or top 1, 2?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some of the classics like War and Peace, it takes a while to get through, but I think these are fantastic books. The book I recommended most recently to people is The Second Mountain by David Brooks. That opened my eyes up to a lot of things in a positive way. And then whatever book I'm reading right now, it's kind of like that's kind of the journey I'm on. I spend a lot of time reading philosophy in my free time, so I think I'd probably lean more towards that. But even some larger books that are out there that I can't finish every book I start. I try to, but ask me again in a year.
Okay.
I'll give you it's a different list.
Will you be studying Shakespeare still in a year, or will you be on a different topic?
Different topic.
So is it by calendar year that y'all choose, or how do you select your topics?
It's basically by calendar year. So we're wrapping up our Shakespeare journey now.
Gotcha.
And then we'll dive into another topic to be determined going forward. And
very neat.
Keep doing that. So that's something we do with my wife and I to, again, build our bond together and learn something together.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a neat concept. I love that. So The Second Mountain, a good book to recommended book. Let's see. Anything else that we want to touch on as far as MEDC and 2024 to kick off the year? What's ahead?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're going to see me out and about in the first and second quarters of 2024, going to speaking events and whatnot. I encourage anybody listening to this to come find me and come talk to me after an event, or invite me out to lunch. I'd be happy to share anything I can about what I'm thinking about and our potential and what I see for the city's vision in coordination with City Council and our board. But I just love meeting people and learning about what makes people tick and how do people view stuff. So I think that's my first notice, at least. I'll be for 2024. I'll be out and about doing a lot of speaking engagements. Second, I think I'm very excited about working with the board and staff over the coming months to kind of hone in on those top 2 or 3 priorities. McKinney's at a funny stage right now in a good way. We're kind of entering a new chapter where some decisions we're making now will definitely have generational impact. And to be part of those conversations is an honor. It's a lot of responsibility. So I think those type of decisions being made soon would be coming to light.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that's really neat that I've seen and got to witness in my time with you so far is along the lines of getting to know people and seeing what makes people tick and so forth. Often your emails, you'll sign your teammate, and which is great. I love the collaborative mindset that you live by. I see you write it and verbalize it, but I also see you live by it, which is, I think, a really commendable attribute, because some people can say they're this way and act a different way, but I think it's really neat, and we're very blessed to have you leading the helm here at the EDC. Happy to have you here with us. So let's shift gears a bit. We're going to go to some this or that questions. Okay. Are you ready to run out the room?
No, bring it
on. Okay, we'll start with the easy one. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea. What kind of tea?
I like jasmine teas.
Jasmine teas.
Somebody, a former teammate of mine, turned me on to it, and it reminds me of this happiness.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's great. With honey?
No.
Nope, just jasmine tea.
Jasmine tea.
Great. Dogs or cats?
I will go with dogs. I will go with dogs.
Do you have dogs and cats?
So we have one dog and one cat.
Okay.
They are equally important to me. But I only say dogs because growing up as a kiddo, you tend to remember your dog pets.
That's true.
I do, at least.
Yeah.
My cat pets. Yeah.
I mean, they don't have the man's best friend for nothing, right?
That's a fair statement.
They're called, they know our emotions. I mean, cats, they're just highly emotional anyways, and they're like, leave me alone, right?
That's true.
Okay, mountains or beach?
Beach.
Beach. Let's see. Airplane or road trip?
Road trip.
Road trip.
Always.
I had a feeling you were going to be a road tripper. Good. Okay, breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Dinner. What's your favorite dinner?
It's my Sunday dinner. I have a steak and sweet potatoes with a glass of red wine.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Can
Classic.
it be like Sunday right now?
Classic.
That sounds great. Well, thank you again for your time today and for opening up a little bit behind the scenes of what makes Michael Kowski. We're excited that you're 3 months in and got a bright future ahead for all of us and for the community, City of McKinney as a whole. So we're grateful for your leadership.
Well, thank you, Madison, so much. And thank you to Luke behind the scenes here, making it all come together. We appreciate it. And so happy to be here. I can't wait for tomorrow and the future.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode with Michael Kowski. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and we are all in for a treat for the future of the City of McKinney. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen to your podcast, and make sure to join us on next episode of McKinney Momentum.